Hello and greetings. Welcome to GatherVerse Africa Tech for Humanity series, day 2. So we're very excited to have you here. Feel welcome from wherever you're watching us from, whether it's in the morning or in the evening or in the afternoon. You're very welcome. I kindly request you, if you're watching this, please share. Tell a friend that GatherVerse Africa Tech for Humanity day 2 is live, and we're going to kick off with a very powerful roundtable panel. And before that, I would like to encourage you to engage from wherever social media you're watching us from. Engage, comment, follow our speakers. We have an expert of lineup. We have expert lineup of speakers who are going to share their expressions. Kindly engage with them. So we're gonna start with the panel, and it's gonna be titled and. Here we go. Learning differently, education, reskilling, and relevance in an immersive technology world. With me, I have an expert panel, and as they come to the stage, I would like us to also. I would just encourage someone to share this live stream. Tell them we are live. That we are live. GatherVerse Africa Tech for Humanity is live. Okay, okay. As they keep coming in, we are live. Tell someone, tell a friend to tell a friend that we are live. So if you're watching us from GatherVerse.live, shout out to you. If you're watching us from all the social media handles, we really welcome you. So my panelists are here. And before we even get started, don't we want to get to know them, who they are, and what they do? So I'm going to introduce them, and I am going to start from my far end, and that is from Ian. Ian, kindly, will bring you to stage. Kindly introduce yourself, and we will pass it all round and conclude the introductions with you, Catherine. So, Ian, take the stage. Kindly unmute. Tell us who you are and why you are here. Ian, your mic, please. Your mic. All
All
right.
right.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm incredibly honored to be part of this journey. So I've been teaching lots of international school students based on two-on-one microgroup learning approach, and then I have acquired lots of substantial research. Like for some students, they have their reading comprehension levels have increased significantly, like 4 grade levels within a few months. And then I realized that this model should be utilized for those in need. And then with no prior foundation, anyone can acquire what they need using my AI program.
Uh-huh.
And as you know, Korea is one of the most intense countries in the world in terms of education.
Yes.
So I thought that my model and my know-how could be fully utilized for so many people, and then I could save lots of souls out there. And I would love to save their souls so that they don't have to suffer from what I have gone through so far.
Okay.
All right.
All right, all right, all right. In Swahili, we say karibu. That means welcome. You're welcome, Ian. We look forward to hear from your expressions. And I'm gonna come to you, Orestes. Yeah, if I pronounced it right, if I butchered it, kindly forgive me. But please tell us who you are and why you're here.
Hello everyone, welcome at the second Gather this meeting I have. Lynn, nice to finally meet you. I would like to welcome all the highly esteemed panelists also. So my name is Spiro Orestis. I'm the CEO and founder of uh, DigiFastverse, which is a startup located in the Netherlands, and we are focusing on digital transformation of across variety of sectors from agriculture, healthcare, education, but also art. I've been exploring XR technologies quite a few years. I've been also an artist, a musician, and a painter. So I've been combining creativity and also the knowledge that I've obtained from my studies and my background into
Mhm.
building disruptive technologies that will better mankind.
Yeah, you're welcome. We love you here once again. And I'm coming to you for Isal. Tell us who you are and why you're here. your mic, please. Kindly mute.
Hi there. My name is Faisal Daniels. I'm the Chief Cultural Advisor for the Ngosop Kwena Indigenous Community in South Africa. And I'm also a political scientist by training. And I was active in public politics for about, I don't know, close to 2 decades, when
Mhm.
I found that that was the complete opposite of what I wanted to do. And I'm here. I was supposed to be on the panel yesterday, but I'm here, so I'm unprepared. But I think this is an adventure for this
Yeah,
topic. I'm here for two. I think there are two major fundamental things that plague the planet at the moment,
yeah.
and the one
Faisal,
is
I'm gonna come to you on that, Faisal. But for now, we really welcome your expressions. I'm gonna come to you. I know you have a lot to share, and we welcome you from every angle that you're gonna bring your expressions. So feel free. And I'm coming to you, Lauren. Tell us who you are and why you're here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren. This is Avery. She's Director of Marketing. And I am an immersive technologist. Right now, I'm currently working for This Week in XR, previously podcast. It's now called the AI XR podcast. And I just started with Virtual World Society. I also got my master's in VR in London. And yeah, so I'm excited for this panel. I've been on one before your last
Yes.
GatherVerse, so I'm excited to be back.
Yes, we're happy to have you back again. Professor, over to you. Tell us who you are and why you're here.
Okay. Good evening, good morning to everybody. Namaste. I am Professor Subhashi Shokar from India, from Kolkata. Currently, I'm working with NSH Knowledge Campus as a professor in the Department of Computer Applications. I'm having almost 20.
All right. Sometimes these technical challenges happen, and we welcome you. Shall we start, panelists? All right, there we go. Lauren, you're close to me on my left, and I'm gonna start with you. What does the classroom mean in an immersive world, and who gets to design it and access it? And anyone can chime in on that. But Lauren, tell us your thoughts on that.
I think that immersive classrooms are extremely powerful just because it allows teams and people that are eager to learn, and anybody really, any group of people can meet in one space and physically like feel the presence, much rather than Zoom, where like you can be much more disconnected. Usually whenever you're in a headset, you're kind of like locked in. And the outside world is like very disconnected. Like you have to physically remove your headset to see, like to even check your phone. So I think it's the retention rates are a lot higher and better in virtual classrooms and immersive spaces. You can also design things that are not possible in the real world. Like you can break physics and you can make like really cool particle effects and just make stuff that are like really, amazing and not quite possible, or maybe you have more resources to do so in the physical world. And with that being said, I think that pretty much anyone that wants to get their hands on creating digital 3D spaces, it's possible. There's tons of YouTube videos, and a lot of it's just kind of like learn by practice, like just kind of do it. And then whenever you have things that you run into, like ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a great resource. And yeah, as far as people getting inside of it, a lot of the 3D communities are pretty great because you also can access them via browser or just like a laptop by like kind of traditional gaming. So like as simple as like WASD is how you move around. And while I think that it's more productive and more fun to be in immersive worlds, I think it is awesome that you can, even if you don't have a headset, have access to these spaces.
Yes, you mentioned something important about access. And Orestes, I saw you nodded to this. Do you agree with what she says? And for me, a follow-up for you would be, let's talk about access. Who gets to design it? Lauren has mentioned you can do it as accessible as you can, but I want to find out from you, what is the angle? What angle are you coming in from?
Yeah, actually, access is let's say a very interesting topic that we have to address, and also the technological acceptance. For example, in the use case of the African continent, I think the technological acceptance is relatively low, and also those are the means that the young students they don't have access. But currently, as we see the developments, and also with other stakeholders being in the that transformative stage, more and more institutions are pushing their agenda forward with that technological access for embodied learning. Um, yeah, actually, more and more institutions that they are high ranked in the economical system, they have access to these tools, but other institutions that they don't have the economic prosperity, they don't have access to this type of extra tools to foster creativity, innovation, and also more embodied learning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally believe so. When it comes to economical challenge and even infrastructure itself, I can't really make the claim that immersive education is accessible for everyone. Are we getting there? Yes, by collective effort. But as of now, no. Yeah, Ian, I'm coming to you on this because you have mentioned your experience with education and where you're from. And I want to really find out, how do educators themselves, like yourself, need to be skilled to lead in this immersive shift? Your mic is muted. Kindly mute. Yeah.
Well, I believe that, as you know, learning from doing things is the bestest way of learning. So I think
Mhm.
we need to give lots of freelancing job opportunities to workers. Like, as you know, due to the rise of AI, so many people have lost their job. Like, so many
Mhm.
instructors in the world have lost their job. I think lots of native speakers in many countries don't know what to do. I think that's why I have come up with this idea, online microgroup learning platform, where
Yeah.
they can teach small numbers of students, which means uh, like so many people, so many workers will be benefit from this kind of model. And the thing is, it's not a difficult job for them to teach and to be reskilled uh, in this kind of AI era. But all they need is some sort of like ideas about AI prompts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have like started hiring lots of freelancing workers, and then I'm
Yeah.
just giving them a simple manual, and then they can teach, they can guide. They don't even know how to speak English. All they
Mm.
need is some sort of like a management skill, and then they can guide lots of students, and and the students can improve their language skill, very significantly in a short period of time. So that's what I'm trying to do. So. Um, it's not a big deal nowadays. So being reskilled is not a big deal. But I
Mm-hmm.
think the most important thing is attracting students. But the thing is that the underprivileged students are not digital friendly. So what I'm trying to do is spreading the traditional flyers to
Yes.
everywhere, to the village, like so that anyone could see, like see the fact that the international school education is available to anybody without any
Yeah.
prior knowledge, and that's what I've come up with. And then
All
I
right.
think my model could be really, really helpful for lots of people in Africa as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh, all right. All right.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. I would like to explain this like further later, yeah, if I'm free.
Okay. We will come back to you on that. And Ian, you said your challenge is bringing in students, but I want to get a different angle from Dr. Sakar. What is your angle on this? Maybe you can tell us what you see as a professor. How do educators themselves reskill in this immersive shift? All right. All right. Doctor, can you hear us? Are we together? All right, as he gets his mic ready, Faisal, what is your angle to this? Do you think educators, it's time for educators to start reskilling themselves, and how do they go about that? Faisal, over to you. All right, as we wait for his mic, Lauren, do you have something to add of that? Lauren, do you have something to add on
Yeah,
that?
sorry, could you just repeat what you're asking?
Yeah, so we're talking about educators reskilling themselves. How do there's need for reskilling? How do they do that in this immersive shift?
Like I mentioned earlier, I think ChatGPT is like one of the greatest resources. Yeah, and then there's lots of like classes that
Sorry,
you can take
Lynn.
through Coursera.
All right, all right. Lauren is going
Yeah.
first, and then I'm gonna come to you, Faisal. So Lauren, kindly continue.
Yeah, I was kind of just saying classes like through Coursera and similar advices and asking around like mentors and colleagues and stuff like that and seeing their experiences. There's lots of classes out there and just it's kind of like weeding out, and reading reviews and really feeling like which one's worth your time and being able to commit to something and just repetition. I think repetition's super important and just like
Yes.
kind of getting your flow. A lot of these like AI tools kind of get to know you as well. So I think like the better like bond you kind of create with it in a sense,
Yes.
the more powerful it can be.
Yeah, so for you, online reskilling works better. Faisal, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you. Faisal, what is your take on educators reskilling what they're teaching right now in this immersive shift? Your mic, please. Okay. Faisal,
Yeah,
over to
I
you.
think I probably, can you hear me? I
Yes.
probably agree with Lauren a lot, but I would say that at an institutional level, I think in particular in Africa, we need to take a leaf out of the book of President Captain Ibrahim Traore, because he's actually answering this question in the sense that he's just, I mean, among the thousand things that he's been doing for the last 3 years, he's just set up an academy for coding and AI for young kids and learning about, so in the same way, I think societies need to actually refocus, teach educator training, so that we can, sort of massify this. Because once you have teachers, then the students will come. I think it's quite simple.
An interesting perspective on that. Catherine, I didn't give you a chance to introduce yourself, but right now you're here with us. Please tell us who you are, and you're very welcome.
Yes, thank you. I've been having some technical difficulties and I'm sitting in a car. Happy to greet you all. I'm Catherine Cavanaugh, founder of Screen 360 TV. We are an online learning platform that presents short international films and coordinates classrooms remotely through AI and presents film festivals. So we learn through the rich atmosphere of the International Film Festival, listening and speaking and responding to films and each other. And that's what I see how teachers can reskill, allowing more conversation, more listening to each other, developing voices in response. It's just recently I listened to the co-author of Abundance, Ezra Klein, and Jared Thompson, I believe is his name. He said that the future of education examinations, because we have AI, will eliminate the take-home exam, the take-home test, and promote more presentation and defense of learning. And there are already school programs, curricula that do that, Waldorf, IB, for instance. And students presenting their knowledge reinforces their knowledge cognitively in memory. They deeply learn it. So I think that's actually a very positive thing potentially about AI in education. And teachers, they need to allow for the time for presentation and listening and responding.
That is a great insight when it comes to presentation. And I think all of us agree with that. Presentation. And the most interesting fact when you said evaluation will no longer be, according to the author, evaluation will no longer be about your marks or what you get to score, but more about how you present, how you talk, how you bring it out for me, that is a takeaway. That is a takeaway for
Yeah.
me. I don't know if anyone feels the same vibe, but if you feel the same, kindly bring it on. Or Steve, do you agree with this? Doctor, yes, Dr. Sakar, please bring it on. Yes, there you go.
I think I am audible. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, there's
So I
a
think
problem.
the reskilling is very much required for for the teachers, for the educators, and everybody, so that we can contribute to the society in a better way. Reskilling not necessarily mean that people has to know technology, but you have to know how can you use technology for the betterment. So this is for the sustainability and few other things. And continuously, your foundation must be strong. Whenever a technology will come, you can take best out of it, and then you can make the living on the earth better. So this is what I feel that you can tell that the nutshell, in nutshell, this is the main thought of our discussion.
All right, all right. We're coming back to you, Doctor, and maybe we can get your audio also better. But thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna go to the next questions, and I'm bringing you on here on this. How can immersive tools help learners absorb more information, build empathy, and human connection? And I think, Catherine, this is one of your passion, but you can also chime in on this. But Ian or anyone else, I also want to hear from you. Ian, take it off.
All right. Catherine mentioned about like the importance of presentation, right? The
Mhm.
learning presentation. That's the best way of maximizing students. I mean, synaptic plasticity, right? That's like while talking about what they know, but the knowledge can be highly engraved in their brain. I know about this, but the thing is, during the class time, if they make a presentation for over a long time, that could be a waste of time. That's exactly why I have developed my AI speech analysis feedback report program, so they can practice as much as they want. So they can spend the whole day if they want to, if they are really willing to practice for for their class. So they can summarize a certain passage. It could be a like exemplary sample essay, or it could be an essential background knowledge, and then they can extract the summary using their own their own brain. So which will enhance their reasoning and logical skill, analytical thinking, understanding skill, everything. So that's what I'm trying to do, integrating everything. So
Yeah.
the outlines of a passage, and then they talk about it based on the outline. So they must repeat it by based on the AI native speaker's voice, and then they can read through the passage over and over again until they are satisfied with it, and then they can talk about it based on the outline, and then they record it through their presentation video, and then during the class time they can talk about it and they can discuss with their peers
Mhm.
and teachers,
Yes.
and they all learn from each other. Even teachers learn from students, the students learn from the teacher and the other student. So I think this is exactly what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
Wow, I love that model where everyone is learning from each other and they're discussing. It's not just about doing an assignment and submitting it, and then the teacher gives back the feedback. That kind of learning, peer-to-peer learning, teacher to students, students to students. I think that's the best way to go when it comes to education. And I have someone who just joined us. Pal, kindly introduce yourself and tell us who you are before we go to the next question.
Sure. Hey everyone, I am Pearl and I'm the founder of Trusted Worker Initiative, which is a social impact platform that is designed to certify, verify, and connect informal workers such as artisans, domestic workers, and other service providers as well. Kicking off in Nigeria, and also it is designed to improve household trust, worker safety as well, and also to introduce a formalized labor to government agencies and to and also to individual and also for I lost my train of thought, apologies, and also to individual businesses as well, in lack of a better way to put it. I'm so sorry, I lost my train of thought, but that is me, and hello to everyone.
Yes, Paul, we greet you and welcome. We're just kicking it off, and I'm coming to the next questions, and I'm bringing it over to you, Orestes and Lauren and Faisal. I want you to tackle this one, but we'll start with you, Orestes. In a fast-changing digital world, how do we decide what educational knowledge is relevant? How do we decide that?
Yeah, exactly. That's a really nice question. In a fast changing digital world, we decide what educational knowledge is relevant is the one that enables the learners keep learning. So the embodied knowledge that transformed into a gamified way keeps on pushing these boundaries. Take for example the domain of agriculture. We see that many educators as farmers they have like a specific life fantasy, right? So we need to in a way capture that knowledge and transfer it into a gamified concept so that we can continue teaching the next generation the archaeological agricultural knowledge that might be lost in the time of the years, and all this useful information will be in the dumpster, for example.
Mhm.
So practical knowledge that enables practical and creative thinking is the one that I think is the one we have to decide keep on building and also uh, pushing forward, enabling multidisciplinary collaboration, but also uh, ethical collaboration in a way.
Yeah, what I just took away from that is practical knowledge. Practical, for me, that's a key takeaway. Faisal, I'm gonna come to you, Dr. Sakar, and I'm sure your audio is maybe good by now. But Faisal and Lauren, I want to hear from you when it comes to this particular discussion.
Yeah,
Faisal, kindly.
yeah. My take on this is essentially you need the opposite of what obtains. I mean, what obtains is basically 12 years of parroting and not learning any useful information and so on. And I think somebody else mentioned the Waldorf school, there's the Mondia school, there's the Montessori school system, and so on. But I think all of that still falls a little bit short. And I think homeschooling begins to actually address this issue. But for me, there's a type of education that is
Mhm.
driven by the learners themselves, and it's called unlearning. Just
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
antithetical to learning in the way that we know it. And I think unlearning means children coming together and deciding what they
Mhm.
want to learn, because in that moment that is relevant for them. And I think the system, needs to be on a level where children are actually. Einstein is the one that said, if you want children to learn, excite them, make it an adventure. And if
Mhm.
you leave it to children, they will come up with multiple adventures at the same time. And they also have much more fun interacting with each other on a human level. Why? Because now it's a soft sort of a gentle competition. I can do this. I created this. Do you want to try? So inspiring innovation. I also like the point about peer training and peer education and so on. But peer innovation, because that essentially for Africa and the world, that is actually what we need. I mean, my entire lifetime, I think everybody else on the panel's entire lifetime, we've been told what to learn. I've been told this is how international relations work and so on. And I have a vastly different view from conventional international relations when I look at the world now. So my take would be let the kids decide.
Amazing. Those are very exciting points that you dropped right there. It's something unlearning. Unlearning. I think that was my key takeaway here. I think I'm having key takeaways each and every time I listen to you, panelists. I don't know what you think, you dear audience, but please feel free to engage with this panelist. Lauren, what is your take on that? What do you have to add? Your mic, please.
Yes. Okay, so how do we decide what educational knowledge is relevant in today's day and age? I think because AI and technology moves so fast, focusing on the core concepts and adaptable methods. So like for core concepts like literacy and ethics, and then adaptable methods being like computational thinking and design. So kind of drilling in your foundation there and making sure that you have a solid foundation. That way, with the tools that are rapidly changing and evolving every day, it's just a matter of like getting kind of familiar with them and progressing and adapting with them as they grow. So the situational tech, like your AI workflows and tools like that, and just finding which one you are most comfortable with and using that one and getting really good at it. I think that's kind of the way that I would do it.
Yes, absolutely, 100% right. You know, Dr. Sakar, I'm hearing all of these expressions, and would you want to add something to this? What is your take?
Okay, so I see this issue in a threefold filter, you can say. So when it comes to learning, firstly, we are going for the foundation knowledge because that is very much required. Say critical thinking, mathematical learning, communication skills. Those are timeless across the centuries. Those are essentials. Secondly, I'm looking for the contextual skills. Contextual skills means the skills aligned with the industry and societal need. Right now, we can talk about cybersecurity, sustainability, data science, data literacy, etc. And number three, I'll be keeping that future-oriented adaptability. So just now we were discussing that learn, unlearn, and relearn, which is very much effective.
Mm-hmm.
So future-oriented adaptability means you're preparing the students or the learners to unlearn, relearn, and pivot. So that means it's not so you are making them adaptable so that whenever new technology comes, because we do not know after 10 years what is going to the technology, what is going to be the condition of the environment. So the learners must have the adaptability, that capability, so that after 10 years they can adapt.
All right. That was a perfect segue. And I probably have wished the best audio for him. And he's going to be back. But thank you for sharing that wherever you are. Hal, I wouldn't close this discussion without hearing from you. You're in the workforce. What do you think? What knowledge should be taught right now that is relevant in the workforce that educators should know?
I mean, just to put it succinctly, I think, like just as it pertains to the relevance, I feel like this means teaching skills that help people generally adapt to critical thinking, problem solving, just general adaptability, should I say, and not just memorizing facts that AI can store faster.
Wow, definitely. That was brief, and I love that expression. You know, Kadrika, I'm coming to you in this next question because how do you make learning and reskilling affordable, accessible, and practical for everyone? Your mic, please, Catherine. Over to you.
There we are. Thank you. I didn't quite hear that. How do we make it affordable and practical? Well, hopefully, teachers are still employed and can reskill as I suggested. But also, I wanted to comment about the professor speaking about students learning without teachers. And there is a form, the Reggio Emilio method from Italy is just that method. Children are in the classroom to conduct their own learning, and the teachers are nearby, but only protecting and offering safety and guidance. And the idea is that the children, or the students, not always children, students, use themselves as a resource and source the group for answers if they don't have them. So it encourages collaboration, project-based learning, and self-reliance. So again, the teachers creating the space and the safety, but then stepping back and allowing the students to develop in the course that they would naturally, taking roles that they would naturally. Just reading the future of smart. And I'm afraid I didn't bring it with me. I wanted to share that, but the title is The Future of Smart. Ulka Hansen, I believe, is the writer, speaking about a school where for 3 hours, the students have tasks that they do on their own. Someone is chopping fruit for the group. Someone is playing a math game, and others are watching. But the students are conducting the activity for those hours. And in this particular example, these were younger children. Here again, teachers as guides. So learning how to unlearn, in a way, everything that they might have gotten in their teacher training, have a lot of plans, but also step back and let the students have plenty of time to learn and relearn and discuss.
Catherine, I'm listening to you and it makes me wonder, do all the students have this kind of discipline? Do we have kids who are going to distract others? Are we going to see a segment? Okay, we've left the students to learn by themselves. Are we going to have the naughty students who are going to disrupt others? Are we going to have the students who are more fast learning? And the teacher just left them, but how can the teachers now supervise them much better in discipline?
True. Well, this is, of course, would take time to unlearn old models where there isn't as much trust in the classroom, and then learning to be trusted and to trust oneself in such a situation. So yes, it would take some time to unlearn the old models, but I think going forward, you would be developing a stronger character who is more likely to enter the workforce as a caring, curious, and hopefully even multilingual contributor.
Thank you for clarifying that for me. And I'm coming back to you, Ian and Faisal, and this draws me to my next question, and anyone can chime in as well. Also you, Lauren, what does relevance mean in an education system where AI learns faster than humans? Over to you, Ian.
Okay. Well, in this AI era, AI can learn faster. So then we must know. Unlike AI, humans have a special ability to learn things unconsciously. So we can fully utilize our unconscious learning ability. So that's exactly what I'm trying to do. So while students practice how to make a presentation based on a certain passage, they can read through it, and like in terms of language learning, like they don't have to go for grammar learning or vocabulary learning or reading comprehension learning. They can just integrate everything. Unconsciously, they can acquire everything: grammar, vocabulary, background knowledge, and writing and speaking, etc. So what I'm trying to, so my point is that they can fully utilize their unconscious learning ability, and they must learn how to interact with others. So, like social interaction is what makes us different and what makes us enjoy our life, and which is exactly how we can improve their happiness levels as well. So I think that's my. And then, like I said, I was going to actually mention that the education model, the integrated education model, could be available for only about $80. So anyone could afford it. And then the teachers' roles are actually motivators. They are personal leaders and like mediators. That's what they have to do. They should be professional psychologists rather than having an expert in certain field of knowledge.
Yeah, definitely. And that just builds up to what Kadwini had said. You know, Faisal, what is your take on this? And then I'll bring to you Dr. Sakar. Faisal?
Yeah, I just wanted to just go back because I think we probably didn't answer it complete the previous question completely. My short answer is it has to be free and it has to be paid from the natural wealth. Again, before Captain Traore becomes cliche, like they have done in Burkina Faso, the national debt, and then they removed all taxes and they are using the country's natural wealth to have free education. So it has to be free. That's the one thing. It also has to be pervasive. Like everybody must want to be a part of the education system, especially young people, through smart environmental marketing, social media, stories, plays, movies, etc. And then the other thing, very critical for Africa, is it has to be everywhere. You have to be able
Mm,
to access it everywhere. And with that, I mean, we have to actually address this thing about connectivity, where only
yeah.
50% of Africans are connected. And then I think my short answer, really a one line on this question is luckily for us, AI learning still requires and relies on human inputs, programming, etc., and so on, and therefore relevance becomes a decision. So a
Mm,
child, for instance, is learning maybe something IoT wise and connecting AI to it. Maybe he lives on a farm and he's like sorting out the water irrigation system times and so on. Or he lives in
yeah.
a city and he's figuring out how to reduce CO2, and so on and so on. So for me, it's a decision essentially.
Thank you for bringing out the matter on accessibility. Can we just make education free as a basic right? And for me, I'm speaking from an angle of a collective responsibility. Some governments may not be in the position, but it's personal responsibility. You teach a child something. After this conversation, go teach a child something that you have learned. If you're in agreement with me, please go and do that. You know, Lauren and Dr. Sakar, do you have something to add on this matter of relevance in an AI world?
Yes, I would like to tell that need to identify what AI cannot replicate easily. For example, the critical reasoning, ethical judgment, creativity, emotional intelligence. So we must not take AI as a competitor because we know as far as the computation is concerned, human cannot
Mhm.
compete with AI. But definitely we have to ensure that like AI as our co-learner, it's and
Mm,
co-worker, and we have to make our graduates are capable to guiding AI responsibly because only AI without ethics, without responsibility, that may be going to be the danger for the future world. So we must identify what are the areas where human are more capable than AI, and then we
yeah.
have to identify the relevance. That is
Mm, yes, yes. I agree on that. Lauren, please chime in on this conversation as we go to the next one.
Yeah, I think that was very well said. Yeah, again, just bringing it back to like what can a human do that an AI can't do? A human has judgment and ethics. We can also collaborate a lot easier than AI can at this point, at least between human to human rather than AI to AI. We also have creativity and the ability to frame problems and validate whether question AI's answers. Um, so as far as like instructional pivots, I think it's important to teach students to orchestrate tool chains. So for like, so
Mm,
search, then simulate and test and verify. I think the verification is extremely important because not every answer that you get from AI is correct. So I think being able to have like an alert for, and judgment on whether something just seems like totally irrational or like slightly off. So yeah, basically just I think the assessment part of this is important in our education model and having not just final answers, but having like your process and reflection on how you got there.
That's a great perspective. And Orestes, I see you nodding to this, which brings me to the next question. And I'm coming to you as well as Pal. So prepare. Which skills are becoming obsolete and which new skills matter most now, Orestes?
Right, the skills of adaptability, critical thinking, also creativity are the ones that can be the most critical in an adopted hero's journey approach that should be, let's say, not be the guideline for adoption while you're creating this type of immersive experiences, but they are more connected to the emotional intelligence of the developer and also the educator. Most of the times when I'm designing simulations, I'm using the 7 steps of the hero's journey approach. So I'm trying to be the hero inside of immersion, and I'm trying to pass a message to my simulation that makes the engagement higher in that type of immersion. So I believe that the skills that are mattering the most are the ones that connect us with our human nature and the one that cannot be replicated from AI and later on from AGI. These skills they can be connected in the future with some agentic AI that will help also students and creators and policymakers to create more open source applications, but also gamification platforms. And also, I'm going a few steps back to the other questions that you mentioned regarding the technology acceptance. There have to be a little bit more collaboration and multidisciplinary cross-boundary collaboration between various actors in the domain of the extra technologies in order to succeed in this type of a new era of immersive education and the next era of metaverse.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for touching on that.
EduVerse, since we're talking for education, right?
Yes, thank you so much for touching on that, especially on the emotional and human connection side of things. Pal, please, we want to hear your thoughts on this as we close off, as we go to the final close off. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I feel like Orestes made some very valid points on the back of what he said. I feel like there are a lot of repetitive in terms of like becoming obsolete. It's a lot of like the repetitive manual and routine skills that are on the decline, namely simple trades and clerical. And just for the sake of time, I'll just conclude by saying what matters the most are digital skills, emotional intelligence, as Orestes has said, problem solving, and also just the ability to keep learning as well.
Yeah, definitely keep learning. Kadri, I want to hear your final takeaway on this as we close this educational panel. We could have gone a long way. So how do we protect imagination and creativity in an age of immersive intelligence learning environment?
Wow, that's a wonderful question. How do we protect imagination and creativity? Once again, allowing space for it to grow. So, an example, I was working with the 6th grade class, and the classes were only 42 minutes long, and they had to shift from class to class. And a boy came in, he's running in to get to his seat, and he's huffing and puffing, and he says, "You see what we have to deal with?" And here's I saw the wisdom and intelligence in this 11-year-old boy, and the desire to learn and not be pushed through a sort of factory mechanism. And I'd say we need to open up the class times and allow much more time for discovery, for self-discovery, and for collaborative discovery. We need to minimize the classrooms. That means hire more teachers. And that could also mean do away with the structures, the architecture of the factory schools, quote unquote, and open up some walls and allow for more space and time, and have 4 classes in a day rather than 6 or 7. And also, I believe, again, going back to my earlier statement, having more opportunities for students to tell what they know and building on what they know, similar to the Rudolf Steiner style of building your portfolio of learning and presenting that along the way. I believe that offers a student far more autonomy in learning and a more solid understanding of who they are, their social emotional well-being.
All right. All right. Your audio is breaking, and before I couldn't agree more. That was such a brilliant way to sum it up, Catherine. Dr. Sakar, do you have something to add before we?
Yes. So thank you, Catherine. You have like mentioned most of the points. Only I would like to add here three keywords you can tell. Firstly, that immersive technology must not be consumption driven; it must be creation driven. So we must not use those technologies as a place to consume. We must create. And one more area, that is interdisciplinary studies must be promoted everywhere, so that the designing, thinking, storytelling, such things will be incorporated. If you are intelligent enough, but if you focus yourself in one discipline, I think your thought process, your entire thing is basically limited. I come from a place where Rabindranath Tagore actually did his creation. And you think the kind of contribution he's having. He's having contribution in various areas of the science, literature, philosophy, education, everywhere. So interdisciplinary and disciplinary study that must be encouraged throughout the globe. That is what I believe. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, dear panelists. We could have gone on because I felt that there was so much to share. There was so much to learn. And for our audience, keep engaging. And please follow our dear panelists. I believe there's so much they share on their profiles. We have their profiles on the website. Thank you so much. And our first roundtable gather was well. Over to you, GatherVerse team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Apparently my microphone is muted. That was a great start. Hello and welcome to day 2 of GatherVerse Africa Tech for Humanity Summit. And I'm very excited about this fireside chat today because we've got the lovely Christina to this side of me. And we're going to be speaking about in this fireside chat the talent gap with skills and systems and the urgency to prepare Africa's workforce for the future. So Christina, please tell us who you are.
Hi, I am so excited to be here today. I am Christina Lott. I am a strategic learning and development leader in Texas, and I'm the founder of Life with CGL, which is all about creating, growing, and living our most authentic self, and also how we're creating a better world than the one we were brought into. So this is truly a passion of mine to kind of pass along knowledge, help people when I can, and also really try and shorten that gap that we're seeing in the workforce.
Yeah, there is a massive gap, and it's great to have you also with us today for our summit. I really want to dive straight in, Christina. I like to get to the roots straight away, right? Get to the nitty gritty, as I say. So we'll start with the first question, which is, where do you see the biggest cracks in the current global talent pipeline? Like, where are the biggest gaps right now from what you see?
I would say the biggest gap is really skill set versus traditional degrees and education. I think that our current workforce is still putting a lot of emphasis on masters and bachelors and things that I feel like are a little outdated considering what the cost of living is and what student loans look like and all of that, depending on where you live. And we're kind of setting up our students for failure right out the gate by telling them that this is the only way you're going to be successful. This is the only way you're going to get that high paying job. And then they come out into the workforce and the salaries that they're being offered aren't necessarily like matching the dream that they were sold on.
Right.
And I think that we have to, you know, education is so important, but also let's focus on those skills. And also, are we hiring for more competency based or just what we see on paper? So that's one of the biggest gaps that I'm seeing. Like, what is our training need versus what the demand for the industries are? I don't necessarily think we have a talent shortage. I think we have an alignment and inclusion shortage.
I see. So I guess that maybe let's jump into the AI side of things, because the previous roundtable was speaking about AI. When it comes to AI education and AI gaps, are you seeing as this one of the one of the biggest things that's going on right now when it comes to talents and gaps and everything when it comes to that side of stuff?
Absolutely. I think that AI is something that is so new in a lot of industries, and anything that's new is obviously scary. But I always say you have to educate yourself on the unknown. So AI is here. It's not going anywhere. So you have to get more comfortable with it. Something that we've been pushing our teams to do is like dive into how AI can make what we're doing more productive. How can we show that success with our KPIs? How can we show that we can be more productive? But also, how can we eliminate the fear that people have behind AI replacing their jobs, which is a very real fear. And that is contributing to a lot of people's like suspicion around AI. But I think if we embrace it in a way that's more inclusive and not as something that's replacing a certain department or role, then I think that there's a lot of education and a lot of good things behind AI.
Honestly, it makes me think like, the potential for AI and the talent out there, and like the current workforce that's being laid off right now, and not just across the US and everything like that, but also across Africa and that too, and also the UK and EU. Let's ask. I want to ask another question around the Africa continent. Is Africa facing a skills gap, or is it an opportunity gap?
I would say both.
Okay.
I think that Africa is experiencing both. I think that there hasn't been as much of a presence for AI as we've seen in maybe other countries. But I think that Africa doesn't just have like a skills gap. I think there's a coordination gap between its talent and the opportunity that people are exposed to in Africa. I think that there needs to be more exposure. I think that companies need to take more of a risk on branching outside of the top countries that they usually go to for talent. And I think that, to be fair, there needs to be more money invested in Africa's education and skill set. The youth of Africa is kind of, I think they're the future, and we should really be investing more time and resources into helping them educate themselves on AI to give them a leg ahead to get those careers and to advance the way that they would like to advance. So I think that it's really just putting the resources in the right place to create those opportunities for the youth of Africa.
So I guess my next question would be then, how do we bridge that gap? How do we bridge the mismatch between like AI and, the opportunities, right? Like, how do we bridge that gap together?
I think that, so there's a approach that some schools take. I can't speak to all schools in the US, but I know that here in Texas, there's schools that practice the dual track program, essentially, to where when our high schoolers are graduating, they're graduating with an associate's already because they've been taking classes that put them ahead of the game. I think that we kind of need to attack AI the same way. I think that we should have kids going through courses that teach them about AI, that give them the certifications that they need while also still doing their coursework. But it's kind of a 2-for-1. And it's also giving them those industry credentials layered into degrees and not solely focusing on education. This is giving them the competency that they need to be successful in their future careers or entrepreneurs. You know, we don't want to tell everyone that you have to join a company to be successful. You can be successful on your own. That's kind of the spirit, I think, of this generation is how can I create something that's my own? And how can I be successful without having to report to anyone? So I think we have to be mindful of the generation that's coming up as well. Like I grew up in a generation where you were told you just go to school, you work hard, and you follow this path and you'll be successful.
Same here.
And then I'm like, I woke up one day and I was like, wait, I think I got bamboozled because this is actually not how this works. I don't feel like all the things you guys promised me are happening. So I think that I personally, when I take my approach with any new hires or anyone that I'm talking to, I like to be very realistic about the world we're in, the economy we're in, and that I don't think that you're going to join this job and be here for 20 years. That's a mindset that is outdated. I know that
100%.
when you come here, you're going to stay until you feel like it no longer serves you anymore. But as a leader, my goal is, what am I doing to leave you better than how you walked in? And I think that that's something that our generation probably needs to embody a little bit more. I think that we look at Gen Z sometimes and we're like, do you guys want to work or no? And it's not that they don't want to work. It's just that they're not feeding into the same narratives that we kind of were sold on. And they're like, no, that's not actually how it works, or I don't have to do that.
Right.
And they don't feel as obligated. Like we're very obligated to, like, when it comes to authority and the rules, we're very much by the book. And they're helping us kind of realize that the book doesn't always work. And I think that's where AI has really shifted a lot of our mindsets, where we're like, whoa, I don't trust putting all this information into a system. But it's like, well, I mean, everyone probably already has that information anyway. AI is going to help make this a lot faster.
I really want to jump in, Christina, because I want to put a vision by you and something past. It is on topic, of course, but you know, when we're talking about everyone's being an individual CEO, and by the way, this is not a question on. This is kind of me going off script here, but as we move forward, right, and as everyone's going to be having all these AI agents, right, as more workforce becomes AI, etc., do you think maybe that we're going to get to the point where everyone will become their own CEO, so to speak?
Honestly, I do feel like we're getting to a point to where corporations and corporate are kind of, I don't want to say a thing of the past, but that's not the bread and butter anymore. I think that AI is showing people different ways to make income, but also helping them bring their business to life. I think something that we utilize in the company that I work for is Working Genius, where it helps you understand like your strengths, your weaknesses, and what your frustrations are. If one of your frustrations is wonder and invention, but you still have that entrepreneur spirit behind you, the only thing that's been holding you back is someone helping you bring that vision to life. Well, we have AI now where I can brain dump all of the things that I want to do in there. And then I now have a thought partner that's helping me bring that to life. So something that felt like it was unattainable is now attainable because I'm utilizing this service. So I think that it's kind of leveling the playing field in a way that we weren't prepared for 10 years ago. We had no idea that this is what the workforce would look like. And also from a talent retention standpoint, we're constantly fighting against retaining good talent because they're realizing like, hey, maybe this doesn't serve me anymore, or maybe my worth is better suited here because I just dumped my thoughts into AI and they told me that I'm in the wrong industry. So I think it is helping a lot of people get to where they want to be a lot sooner than we've ever experienced in the workforce.
And we talk about AI, we talk about the opportunity, the lack of opportunities, the skills gap, or maybe not the skills gap. What is like one urgent action that you would advise African leaders to prepare in order for entering into this new world, so to speak?
Honestly, I would say job to skill maps. And I think that we need to do a better job of updating those quarterly and figuring out if the skill sets align. I think
Okay.
that we do a lot of work around like establishing what a role looks like, what a job looks like. We're not accounting for the changes in the industry and how AI is shifting that. I think that focusing in on more of skill based rather than just knowledge is helpful. And I also think that AI has given us the ability to figure things out a lot faster in a way. Like maybe I wouldn't have been able to figure out how to put together this spreadsheet. And that's a skill set that I was looking for in someone. But AI has removed that ability to need me to find someone that has that specific skill set, because it is going to fix that gap for us without having to hire for that role. So I do think it gives us the ability to expand our teams without eliminating roles, but also it saves the company money. Or if you're an entrepreneur, it saves you money. I know a lot of people are outsourcing things like tasks that they normally would do themselves, and it's helping them be a lot more productive. So I think really learning how to outsource, that's something that I struggle with. Delegating is hard for me, but I'm learning that I can get there a lot faster.
I know that feeling.
It's like, it's a control thing. I think we struggle with, I know what I want. I know what the vision is. And if I pass it off, then I'm relinquishing control of what that vision is or what the outcome will be. But I think the control piece for us is like, hey, we got to let go. We got to trust the process and trust that whoever we're turning this over to can do it. Otherwise, we will all work ourselves into a grave, and that is not the goal.
I've got one last thing, because we've run out of time, or we have run out of time. So I want to just finish things off on this last thing, which is there anything that you would like to say to the audience, before we go? Is there any like last words that you'd like to say, like anything of wisdom you want to share, or anything along those sort of lines before we finish the fireside chat?
I think the most important thing that I've had to come to grips with, and that I would encourage anyone to come to grips with, is AI won't take your job. Someone using AI will end up taking your job. And let that someone be the youth of Africa. Let them be the future, and let them set the stage for what AI can look like and how to help you thrive. I truly think that like talent is Africa's largest natural resource. It's just figuring out the coordination and how to bring that to life. But I think that, there's degrees open doors, but skills are what keep you in the room. So don't discount your skills and the charisma that you bring to the stage.
Well, Christina, it's been a pleasure having you at GatherVerse. Thank you for joining us at the GatherVerse Africa Tech for Humanity Summit today on day 2. It's been a pleasure. And everyone, make sure you do follow and connect with Christina on LinkedIn, and our Gather as well. And up next, we do have a next roundtable discussion. I'll be moderating that, so I will see you very shortly.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Hello and welcome to our roundtable discussion, and welcome to day 2 of GatherVerse Africa Tech for Humanity Summit. And what an amazing fireside chat, right? I think it was so awesome to be able to speak with Christina there about the talent in Africa and the opportunities, and how we can move Africa forward. But on this roundtable discussion, we're going to be speaking about the African footprint in AI, building AI that reflects African realities. If I could ask every single person on the panel just to mute their microphone so we don't have any sort of like feedback or any sort of issues or technical issues, because we do get that sometimes on the panel. So if I could just ask everybody to quickly mute their microphones, that'd be appreciated. And I'll make sure everyone gets their chance to obviously introduce themselves as well. So yeah, but before we get into that, we have lots of questions coming up. We have lots of also more videos to share with you, and lots of more coming up after this. So, but before we get into that though, let's do the introductions. So what we're going to do is we start with Majitsu, we go across to Mary, we'll go to Halamat, Dr. Venue, Dr. Satesh, I think that's how you say your name. Yeah. And also Blessing James.
Yeah, Dr. Satish.
Satish. Okay, well, thank you for correcting me. So, Majitsu, over to you. Please introduce yourself. Keep the introduction short, and we'll get straight into the questions. So, over to you, Majitsu. We can't hear you at all, Majitsu. I don't know if your microphone isn't plugged in or...
You're talking on mute, probably. I think he's talking on mute.
Yeah, we'll head over to Mary and Satesh. We'll go over to you just shortly. Mary, can you please introduce yourself?
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I am Mary Waweru, and I am the founder of AI Literacy Hub, a hub that champions AI literacy for Africa, and I am excited to be here.
And thank you for joining us. And that sounds very interesting, AI Literacy Hub. So I'd love, when we get into the questions, I'd love to hear more about your experience and what you've been working on over there, Mary. Halamat. Please correct me if I am wrong. How do you pronounce your name, please? Halamat. Okay, please introduce yourself, Halamat.
Okay, hi everyone. I am a business expansion strategist, and my role presently is to seek solution from chaos, and also bring out strategy to make sure that those solutions comes to life. And I am excited to be here with everyone here today.
Thank you for joining us, Halamat. And Dr. Venue, over to you. Please introduce yourselves. We'd love to hear what you have been up to, Dr. Venue. If you could unmute your microphone, that'd be appreciated. Just if your microphone is muted, just make sure you unmute your microphone and then you can speak. Dr. Venue, over to you.
Good day, everybody. And I am Dr. Venujia. I am into AI director. I am driving the literacy program for India. 50,000 students we are going to educate by December. Because any
That's
technology
incredible.
comes into world, we should bring the awareness first, how to utilize the technology, how it is going to helping tool for our life. Once it is promoted, then the people will be and the society will be benefited. That's the cause. I am into the IT industry 25 years, academic and product development and mentoring across the world. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Dr. Venue GR, and great introduction there. Dr. Satesh.
Yeah, it's Satish. That's okay.
Satish, please introduce yourself. And thank you for being with us, and thank you for being patient too.
Sure, thanks. Myself, I am Dr. Satish Kumar Rongali. And I think last year I completed my doctorate program in Judson University in Illinois. So currently, I am working as a business testing lead for a health client called Cigna Healthcare. It is based on United States and provide health insurance. Most of the people know about Cigna, I guess. So currently, I am working as a business testing lead for the healthcare projects. And I did my research on AI, machine learning, and how AI can be implemented on healthcare and different technologies like MuleSoft and those kind of things, integration technologies as well. That is my overall experience, and I am looking forward to it because this is my first time I am attending this event today. I'm very excited, and I am seeing Dr. Brasha as well here. Hey, Brasha, how are you? She
Well, We'll head over to Dr. Bradshaw since she just joined us. So thank you for introducing Dr. Satish, and it's great for you to join us. And hopefully you'll enjoy your first time being with us at GatherVerse. So Dr. Bradshaw, please introduce yourself and welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Bradshaw. I am an academic program director of emerging technology, and I love the AI and the metaverse. So I just want to share knowledge with every country, and Africa is a great place to start.
Thank you for joining us, Dr. Bradshaw. And that was nice and short and sweet. That's like the introductions are fantastic when it's like that. It's just straight to the point, not messing about. So thank you for joining us, Dr. Bradshaw. Precious, please introduce yourself and welcome to GatherVerse as well.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It's afternoon here in Nigeria. And my name is Precious. Can you hear me? All right, wonderful. So my name is Precious, and I'm head of operations at Web3 Switch. And what we do at Web3 Switch, we help the Web2 individual to transition into the blockchain space and have them get trained, get certified over time in Nigeria here, and everywhere across Africa as well, because we kind of like do trainings remotely for everyone who is willing to onboard and get into the Web3 space. So that's what I do. And I am also an information technologist too, and yeah, that's what I do. Thank you so much, everyone, and I believe that this session is going to be an amazing one for every one of us.
Precious, thank you for joining us as well, and I'm glad to hear a fellow Web3 person like myself. It's great for you to join us. And Ademulagan, is that how you say your name?
Ademulagun Blessing James.
Ademulagun, like that?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Ademulagun Blessing James. I am the Vice President and Chief AI ethicist at the African Tech for Development Initiative. What we do is we accelerate and advance the development of technology in Africa with a focus on marginalized and underrepresented communities. And we are focused on 4 thematic areas. We are focused on AI in healthcare, AI in language translation. We are focused in capacity building and also collaborating with partners across Africa. Thank you.
Adam Mulligan, thank you for joining us. And last but not least, I'll introduce myself and then we'll get straight into the questions. So my name is Russell. I am the Director of Partnerships at GatherVerse. I'm also the co-founder of Just Verify. And Just Verify is focused, well, our mission in very simple terms is to verify the integrity of AI models to ensure the responsible adoption across the world. And we're literally focused on basically verification and making sure that AI is trustworthy. So that's what we do in a nutshell at Just Verify. So thank you for everyone joining us. And Ad Mulligan, if you could just please mute your microphone as well. There's just a little bit of feedback coming. So what we're going to do is go straight into the first question, which is, what is the current and future state of building AI that reflects African realities? So, Dr. Satesh.
Yeah, correct.
I'm going to bring you onto this one first because since you're new here and your first time here, I want to give you the first question. And then we'll also head over to Mary after for this question. So what is the current and future state of building AI that reflects African realities? Over to you.
Sure. Thank you so much. The current state, right? I'm thinking they're getting adapted to AI slowly, and a lot of research or the startups are different projects, right? They're coming up across the African continent, and little bit I am doing one challenge. I am seeing like they do have some capacity issues, and they don't have enough funds as well to get into projects, because funding is very critical for AI, because we need to get different resources from different countries to walk through what's happening or those kind of things. And there was some recommendation I can say, specifically the future thing will be like if more funds will come, right, and they can invest on local people as well, where they can distribute the initiatives across multiple talents across Africa, and probably they can do some kind of strategies as well to get into the local AI systems, so that the problems whatever they have, right, it can be resolved. So the future, I think I can say, like they will expand into more industries, I can say, specifically in agriculture and public services, I am thinking.
Also, I will add to this. I'll also add that I think data centers are going to be a big issue too. Unless you have the data centers or the cloud servers, or be able to have the compute to be able to do AI, I definitely think that's going to be an issue not only in the African region, but also when it comes to even like the UK region, EU region, quite a few regions, to be honest. So, Mary, let's bring you on this question. What are your thoughts when it comes to the current, future, and future state of building AI that reflects African realities? Like, what is your view on this?
Thank you so much for that question. Let me start with the current state of AI in Africa. So AI is already solving a few problems in Africa. For example, in the agriculture sector in Kenya, AI is already helping with agricultural predictions in terms of seasons and which plants will do best in which types of soils. And then in the fintech area, especially in Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa, AI is helping a lot in terms of credit scoring and also algorithms in the fintech area, and also in health diagnostics in Rwanda, they're using AI a lot. Well, the future state, how we see AI, first of all, I'd love to the issue that you have brought up, the data centers. Yes, data centers is one. We need to improve on the data centers so that we can improve on the data that is being used to train these AI models. Number two, we need to build AI that is grounded on African languages. And I had someone here saying that they are working on that, language translations, and also the cultural context in Africa. We need to build AI that shows and reflects the different cultural contexts in Africa. I think there's a huge opportunity in that. And also literacy rates, AI literacy and fluency rates in Africa. Those are other things that need to be tapped on.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's a staggering list that you have there. You know, I just think one of the biggest things that I do think about is culture. And, you know, just because culture is different in every single country, you know, when it comes to the African culture, because you have so many different cultures within Africa, it's kind of hard to pinpoint of, for example, what is it like in Nigeria versus South Africa, right? Are they two different, you know, cultures that are in those two different places? You know, what is that like? What is the difference? And, you know, that's something that I do think about is culture being one of those big narratives on top of everything else that you've been saying. So thank you for sharing, Mary. And we're going to head over to our next question, because I can see Dr. Bradshaw also nodding her head. It's good to see you're like, yes, I agree. So the next question is, how can AI be trained ethically on African data without exploiting African workforce? So Dr. Bradshaw will bring you into this, and then we'll go over to Dr. Venu GR after. So please share your thoughts, Dr. Bradshaw.
Sure. AI, especially with ethics, we have to make sure that we're using the algorithms that are created for African languages, because I think that's the big problem with a lot of the large language models. They're really not expanding them to African languages and cultures. So we also have to intertwine with that, with the ethics. What is the AI going to be used for? Is it going to be used for helping the communities in Africa? Or, you know, you don't want to just use AI to do like, oh, we just want to surveil everybody, but you want to make sure that AI is going to be used ethically, and especially with companies, schools, kids, even healthcare. Healthcare uses AI quite a bit, and they also use metaverse as well. So they have to make sure that it's ethically sound and that they're not using it to exploit patients or so forth. So I think the same could apply to the AI with the ethics and whatever it's going to be used in African communities as well.
Yeah, and also if you think about it, Dr. Venue GR, we'll come over to you just a second, but Precious, this also makes me think about when it comes to the Web3 side of things, right? When we're talking about financial, crypto, etc. When we're talking about training ethically on African data without exploiting African workforces and using the correct data to train the AI, so to speak. When it comes to the Web3 side of things, and I know there's a big decentralization when it comes to the crypto side of things, how can we make sure that these AI are ethical when it comes to the crypto side, and how can we make sure that, for example, when it comes to the financial sector, that it doesn't get exploited, so to speak, with AI? What are your thoughts on that, Precious?
All right, so I think that it depends on what kind of data we are collecting, and we are feeding these models over time. You understand my point? So because it's what you give this model that it will return back to you. And if we at the end of the day gives this model essence data that feeds them more like, okay, this that feeds them our within the crypto space, within the Web3 space, we have like bots that do trading, for example, and these are programmable bots and AI bots, right? Now, if at the end of the day we are giving this bot information that we're not supposed to give them, we're already exposing ourselves to things that we're not supposed to expose ourselves to. So we need to actually just limit what we are. Yes, we need the bots to do this trading for us, to give us this financial analysis data for us able to make decisions wisely over time, right? But then we need to limit some certain kind of data that we're feeding this model over time. And in the Web3 space, since it's centralized, everybody wants to everybody wants to make money, everybody wants to be have this financial literacy over time. All right. But me, I believe that as much as we don't want these things to exploit us, we need to also make sure that we're not feeding it excess data that would also get back at us over time.
Okay, and I it's very interesting, like when it comes to crypto, Web3, etc. And we won't dive down that rabbit hole too much, but it's very interesting how the convergence of AI and Web3 is coming together, and what is that future going to look like, not only just across the world, but when it comes to the African continent, right? And how do we make sure that it is ethical and that it does supposed to do what it's supposed to do when it comes to the Web3 standpoint and crypto, etc. So thank you for sharing your thoughts, Precious. And I want to get on to our next question, because we do have quite a few questions, and we're also flying through the time because I've literally just looked at the time now. So Dr. Venue GR, we're going to come over to you, and also we'll come over to you next, Halamat, which is how do we serve the need for massive data to build AI with the right to privacy and safety for Africans? Dr. Venue GR, please tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. Because data building, it differs from industry to industry. For example, if you take verticals industry, if you take banking, it is a different database building. If you take healthcare, it will differ the database building. If you take logistics, it differs. If you take agriculture sector, it differs. If you take food and beverage, it differs, because the data is the differentiation from the industry to industry. So this is the data is collected as a massive from the different verticals. And then, it comes as a privacy means when we are using the data, like how we are using internet, we have the first level, second level, third level, the security levels. The A is also going to be cyber security with AI, the network system. That's going to control, that is the more stringent, because right now what we have, the security is not that stringent. Now with the AI, it is 100%, because now we are using, access with the retina eye, access with the finger thumb, with the hands images, so that more security with the personal touch of the fingers rather than, entering the keywords. That is the way the security and privacy comes.
By the way, I see you, Immediate Tiger, in the comments. I see you like commenting a lot. Immediate Tiger, if you want to come on here and speak on the panel, please let us know. But no, Dr. Venu GR, you bring up a lot of great points there, and it does depend on sector. And I see what I don't know if you've seen, but I've been seeing what Switzerland have been doing when it comes to their way in how they do privacy and safety. And if you see what they're doing, I think the AI is called Lomos, I'm pretty sure. And the way in which they do their privacy and safety is that every chat that you have with that AI, they don't keep any of your chats, any of your logs, nothing. Not like how ChatGPT and these other companies do, because the other companies train the logs and all the chats that you have and then train it on their data, right? Whereas they don't do that. They say, we're not keeping anything, it's completely yours, everything's encrypted, etc. Like how you're saying when it comes to cybersecurity, and that all the privacy and all the safety is completely yours. So I find that very interesting how Switzerland is doing that in particular, but then also you've got the American side, which is doing the other side of things. So it's very interesting, this balance. And when we talk about ethics and safety and privacy, it's a very interesting way in how they do that. But thank you very much, Dr. Vinny GR, for sharing your thoughts. And Halamat, let's bring you onto this conversation. What are your thoughts on everything that's been shared?
Okay, I really think that when it comes to privacy and safety, we have a whole lot to do in the context of Africa, because when it comes to trial, Africa is usually seen as a dumping ground where people can just come and do things and go. So of recent, we have an issue within the Nigerian government and Meta, where it was discovered that Meta has been having access to people's WhatsApp data without consent, and the Nigerian government has to sue them. And this shows that so many of us are still do not have a lot of knowledge when it comes to data privacy. And also, it's up to our policymakers to make sure that users of our data are held accountable for what they use our data for, and when they go out of what they are supposed to do, they should be held accountable. When they are held accountable, it will serve a very good message to those who think that African is a place where you can just do anything with our data. So that's what I think. I think that our policymakers has a whole lot to do when it comes to this regard, because so many of us still do not have enough information about data privacy and safety.
Yeah, it also makes me think about governance and policies, and when it comes to all that as well, Halamat, and I can only reiterate what you're saying. And when it comes to AI governance too, in particular, it's very important that that is put in place when it comes to holding companies accountable, and also making sure they're transparent too, right? Like if they're saying, hey, we're going to train your data and our thing, at least you know what you're signing up for, right? We won't name any names, but there's a big tech company in America that maybe in the past maybe not been so transparent and maybe kind of used your stuff, so to speak. But anyway, the point what I'm getting at is I completely agree with you, Halamat, and I think accountability and transparency and making sure that the right AI governance is in place, and making sure that Africa is safe and that it can't just be used as a place where you can just come to freely. So thank you very much for expressing your thoughts, and I really appreciate that. And I want to get onto our next question and bring in James, if you don't mind me calling you that, because I can't say your first name. I do apologize. But what are the question is, what are the most pressing policy gaps that need to be addressed for Africa to have a real agency in AI governance? Over to you.
Thank you very much, and feel free to call me James.
Thank you.
So right now, the state of AI governance policy frameworks is that we are still at the nascent stage of AI governance policy in Africa. As of mid-2025, only about 7 African countries have either developed or adopted an AI policy framework. So we have a lot of work to do. And with respect to the gaps, we have to look at what some other people who have gone ahead in AI are doing, and that is having a national register for incidents, AI incidents, and abuses in the ecosystem. Right now, even for the 7 African countries or thereabout who have either adopted or enacted an AI policy framework, there is a lack of a national register for AI incidents that can inform policy decisions, inform guidance and direction with respect to AI. So we need to have a national register for incidents with respect to abuses, cyber attacks that are related to AI, data privacy violations related to AI, so that this register can serve as an information hub to influence decision and policy and inspire the rapid development and ethical development of AI in the African ecosystem. And I also believe we have to do a lot in the area of implementation. There is a plethora of similar policies across Africa, even in developed countries, but there is a great deal of implementation gaps. And the reason is that the law enforcement agents and the relevant agencies in the AI ecosystem, some of them, a great deal of them, are not involved. So I'm going to reiterate what Alima said earlier. There has to be a lot of AI literacy training and awareness programs for all the relevant stakeholders in the AI ecosystem, from the AI developers, from the innovators, to the government representatives, to the academia, to the research institute, and all of the relevant stakeholders in the AI ecosystem, so that on one side, if there is a very robust governance framework, on the other side, we do not have implementation gaps. We also have people who are relevant, who understand what they have to do, what they don't, what they are not allowed to do, and we have an authority who can hold them accountable where there are abuses, where there is lapses in implementation, and where something clearly has not been done. So for the policy gaps, we have policy gaps in terms of incident responses, and we also have policy gaps in terms of implementation and awareness with respect to the relevant stakeholders in the AI ecosystem.
It sounds like there are quite a few gaps going on from what you're saying, James. And I mean, even here in the UK, I look at the stats of adoption, and I think like the national average is like 67%, right, when it comes to AI adoption in particular. And here in the UK, we're only at like 47%, right? So even we're behind and we're like the UK, right? So I like, when it comes to governance and when it comes to policies and the implementation of that, that is so crucial when you're doing AI adoption. And I think people do forget when they're adopting AI, they forget the governance side, they forget the policies, and they're like, well, I can just use this. Yeah, okay, maybe in your personal life, but when it comes to business, or when it comes to society, or when it comes to governance level, that's a whole, a government level, sorry, that's a whole different thing. So I completely agree what you're saying, James, and the fact that, just the lack of it within Africa, would like to see more of that across, the continent. So thank you for sharing, James. Go
Let
ahead.
me quickly slip this in before I go. For example, the National Data Protection Regulation Authority is the body in charge of AI policy in Nigeria, and they have announced that every AI organization and tech organization must have a dedicated data protection officer, for each organization. And we still have many organizations in Nigeria that do not have a dedicated data protection officer. So that is one aspect of the policy gap we are talking about.
Okay. No, it's great to hear that that's been implemented, and thank you for sharing, James. And Dr. Sadesh, what are your thoughts on this too? Do you agree with everything that's been saying? Do you not agree? Like, give us your sort of wider perspective, maybe from like a different lens and a different point of view.
Yeah, sure. Like most of the things I agree. I do believe the most policy gaps right there in data sovereignty and governance. There is a gap in Africa. Like whatever the policies they owns, they or whoever controls some of the African data, right? The problem with that is the foreign companies cannot extract the whatever the African data without returning the values. And for this, right, we need to have some official laws, I can say, where we can ensure whatever the African data is there, right? It will be used as a ethical thing, like so. If we use the data as a ethical purpose, right, it will be beneficial for the local communities as well. And the other policy gap I am thinking is like the representation in global AI policy as well, where most of the African voices, right, they are underrepresented in different bodies, and for that, right, we the African, right, so in the union level, they need to design some kind of framework, so that way, like the African people, right, can be stronger in different global forms as well. And the other thing I am seeing one gap is in ethical AI and human rights protection as well. I do see some of the frameworks which they are using, right? They are very discriminative, and they are misusing the AI as well. So the problem with that is like it will harm the different algorithms and the digital colonialism as well. And last thing I can say, they doesn't have enough funding as well in education, research, and workforce development as well. And if infrastructure, and if the local talents, education, and skill set, and if any funding that comes to the research support, then we can see more opportunities and more AI implementation overall in Africa, I can say.
Let's go on to the next question. And you bring up a lot of important points there, Dr. Sajesh. And it makes me think as well, when it comes to a lack of AI education and governance, and just a lack of everything across the board, infrastructure, etc. What role does open source play in democratizing AI development across the continent? Like, and I'll bring Dr. Bradshaw and Mary into this conversation. All the points that we've spoken about so far across the board, could open source play that AI development role across the continent and making it more accessible and potentially even the playing field, so to speak?
Yes, they can, because I am an AI advisor for Kawai. Kawai does that very thing. They're open source and they democratize AI, and they want to share it with anyone that wants to use it. So they share it with academia. I think they did it with Stanford and several other institutions that want to really create AI, but to make it open source for every continent and everyone that wants to use it. So they have a huge role in doing venues, conferences, and everything. They're really big in California, and they're trying to spread out to democratize AI and make it more of an open source to get experts on their volunteer list and their panel to help create and share information amongst every continent.
And also, what role do you think open source is playing, Dr. Bradshaw? Like, as in, do you think it's evening the playing field when it comes to closed source models? Do you think that open source models are more advanced, or are they behind even when it comes to that sort of thing?
I think they are innovative. They're very innovative, and they have a lot of information, but they try to make sure it's done properly. So they like to really go back and forth to make sure, hey, we need to add this to our AI model. We need to use this large language model, this algorithm. So they're trying to think of more innovative ways to get it out there. So I think they are really opening up the doors with innovation when it comes to sharing and democratizing AI. But they're really, I think they're going to be really reckoning for us in the future, especially with what they're doing now.
Yeah, I mean, I think open source in general, and a lot of the models that are currently out there right now are more than capable, if not on par with the top models that are closed source now. We've seen ChatGPT. They obviously released their open source. You've got lots of different models out there when it comes to open source. I think there's over like 2 million models in the world that are open source. But the point, what I'm getting at is open source could be that even playing field, so to speak. And it kind of makes me also, I keep going back to Web3 again, but it also makes me think of Web3 when it comes to decentralization, because that also evens the playing field when it comes to, crypto, blockchain, NFTs, metaverse, etc. All the areas within Web3. So thank you very much for sharing, Dr. Bradshaw. And Mary, over to you. What are your thoughts on this, on open source? Is it playing a key role when it comes to democratizing AI development across the continent?
Yes, I believe so. And I agree with what Doctor has just shared. Open source is lowering the barriers, especially for startups in Africa. It's making it easier for them to do their research, for them to build up, because they don't need to go back to start from the beginning and start by creating the data centers like what OpenAI did. But now they can build up from what OpenAI or Anthropic has already done, and now they can build solutions for Africa. Again, I also believe that open source is helping with local customizations when you are talking about cultural differences and also language differences. With open source, it's easier to take a model that has already been trained and customize it for different cultural contexts or for different language contexts. So it's easier for smaller startups or smaller researchers and the academia to come in and build up on AI. And also it's removing the monopoly from the big foreign tech companies. So I believe open source is helping a lot.
I think also that it kind of gives Africa their own sovereignty, right?
Yeah.
As in, it allows you to train the models how you want to. If you want it to have an African culture to it, you can add that in. So I think open source really kind of allows that and evens the playing field when it comes to that. So I completely agree with you, Mary. And Precious, let's bring you into this conversation, as well as we'll head over to Dr. Venu GR after, which is, how do we confront the systemic bias in global AI systems that exclude African realities, and how can that be addressed? So, Precious, maybe you can give a unique perspective on this. Maybe you can give the Web3 angle on this. I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts on that.
All right, so I believe that right now there's a whole lot of bias in AI, and it's very real. All right, and for me personally, when you look at it from the aspect of maybe facial recognition, that phase on data schemes to translations, model, and all that. Yeah. Now, for me personally, I think the solution is representation, and even if as much as we want to understand that, okay, depends on how we are representing this AI, especially in this African region. I think we in Africa, we need to understand that we need data in terms of training sets, and understand that this, even if as much as we're trying to, sorry, I'm kind of a little bit tense, so
it's okay.
Even if we need African data in training sets, that's one of the things first, right? So that we understand this model, understand our realities, because our reality in Africa is different from the reality in Europe. The way things are done in Europe is different from the things are done in Africa. Yeah? And most of the times, we all need African engineers and researchers, all right, to make sure that when we are making decisions within the AI policies, within the AI, trying to understand how well we can, how well we can really push AI to the world from Africa as a whole. All right, we still need to make sure that regardless of how we are doing this, we need to make sure that the solution is how we present these solutions and AI to the world over time. And we also need local labs for testing and refining system before we deploy them here over time. I believe that I've been able to do justice to this question. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Precious. And I do think one of the ways in which we can potentially reduce bias, right, is obviously when it comes to the data standpoint, etc. But also, I think when it comes to bias too, is maybe we need ways to be able to detect that, right? And seeing like how the AI performs and behaves, can we be able to look at that from the output and see, okay, this is the sort of bias that it does have. It can be from the training side of things, but it can also potentially be retrained or adjusted, or like you talk about drifting and saying how an AI model drifts off over time, right? Well, you can also realign it back as well to make sure that it does stay on track. So I think there's different ways which we could, be able to adjust and mitigate bias. But let's bring in Dr. Venu GR. Dr. Venu GR, you are an expert when it comes to AI, and the fact that you're also training 50,000 students, I think that's very commendable. So tell me, Dr. Venu GR, from your perspective and your eyes, how do we, confront the systemic bias when it comes to, Africa realities, and how can we address all the bias in a nutshell, really?
Thank you. See, when we are saying the title, Global AI, means AI is not related to any country or location. Technology is universal for every country. But only thing is that the global AI system, we have to train from the schooling level. The education should be done, a skills development from the schooling to college, then professionals. Then what happens academic level, when we develop the skill, that manpower can compete and work across the globe, so that we are using AI in USA, we are using AI in Europe, we are using AI in Asia Pacific region. The technology is universally same, but only thing is that how we have been educating our society and developing the skills, that depends on the country's progress. And also more Africa is needed because I was a mentor for last 3 years for Africa from Bridge for Billions. In that platform, I have been noticed to closely work with the African entrepreneurs. They have the tremendous intelligence compared to across the world, but the only thing is that they need a good leadership. Technology leadership is required, and a lot of awareness is required. Second thing is that all countries are getting outsourcing projects, but especially South Africa government has to take initiative and welcome other countries to outsource the projects. So there, the technology will build, and Africans also come into the limelight of global market. That is a missing. The countries has to focus African, so that the cost of execution will be very comparatively very less in the African region. Only thing is that if you want to pass on the technology to Africa, one is the infrastructure, networking, and power supply. These are the three is most important, the basic infrastructure.
It sounds like it's a multifaceted approach, right?
Yes.
It sounds like we have to come at this from multiple angles to be able to solve the bias issue. So, for example, we did a healthcare summit, and when we did our healthcare summit, during that, one of the discussions that came up was that there's a lack of women's healthcare, for example, when it comes to the AI side of things. You ask it specifically for women's healthcare issues, and it kind of like hallucinates or, makes things up or says something that it shouldn't, basically. And then it gives the wrong advice for women, right, when it comes to that side of things. I know this is just an example, but that's one just little small minute example that I can give that has a wider issue when it comes to society and when it comes to the bias issue that we're speaking about.
True. I agree.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Venu GR, and thank you also for sharing your thoughts. So we're going to the next question because we literally have 5 minutes, so I want to speed through these last questions, and round things up at the top of the hour. So the next question, and I don't know if we're going to have time for it all, but I'll get as many people to share their thoughts as possible on the panel, which is how can African entrepreneurs build scalable AI solutions that compete globally and serve local needs? I also just want, before we get into this question, also Mary share her thoughts. She said, we must ensure AI reflects African languages, cultures, and values, and not just important ones. So thank you for sharing your thoughts there. And I know, Immediate Tiger, you've been sharing a load of stuff in the comments. I can see you commenting so much. But anyway, so how can African entrepreneurs build scalable AI solutions that compete globally and serve local needs? So we'll head over to James on this one, and then also I think we'll head over to Halamat as well for this question, and try to keep your answers short, please, because again we've run out of time. So please go ahead, James.
So thank you very much. Based on present realities in Africa with respect to our infrastructure, the best pathway is to leverage small language models because of their advantage of requiring little amount of data. They are domain specific. They don't require huge amount of computational energy and electricity to build, and they are still effective and able to solve problems. So and also small language models are built on open source models, meaning they don't have to build it from foundation to execution. So they can just leverage existing open source models and build their systems on that. And we already have very good examples. For example, the Help Mom Africa AI assistant in Nigeria is able to translate in local languages, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba, and then translate it to English. You can also communicate in English and you get it back in your local language. So because of our present resource constraints in Africa, I believe small language models are the best pathway to build scalable AI solutions that serves local need and still compete globally.
Small language models are fantastic, and I couldn't agree more, James. Next question. How can partnerships within Africa and across the globe help accelerate African AI research? Halamat will bring you into this one. I am going quick, so sorry, James. I know if there was more that you had to express there. It's just we got to go around the table as quick as we can. So Halamat, please share your thoughts on this question.
Okay, so on this question, I think that partnership with both governmental and non-governmental organizations will help a lot to take away most of the hustles that hinders innovators, because Africa is a continent that has a very complex ecosystem. Partnership with organizations can take away factors such as funding, resources, infrastructure. So when we have the right partnership, they will be able to remove most of those hindrances, which is hindering most intelligent developers to develop unique things. So partnership can help them in these aspects. To keep my answer short.
Thank you very much, Halamat. And I think literally that's all we have time for, I'm afraid. It's been an absolute pleasure having each and every one of you on this fantastic panel. Dr. Sajesh, I hope you enjoyed your first time here as well. And I'm afraid this is the end of the roundtable discussion. So please, everyone, make sure you follow each and every one of these fantastic people on the panel on LinkedIn. Search up their names, take screenshots if you need to try and remember the names, whatever you need to do, go and look them up, give them a follow, and definitely go and check them out. And there's so many fantastic, great AI experts here, including the Web3 switch on the Web3 side, of course. And like I said, it's been a pleasure having each and every one of you. So thank you very much for joining us in the roundtable discussion. And up next, we'll be getting into some more. We've got loads of great videos to share and a lot more discussions to come. So that is it from us. And that's it. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Soto, founder of the Divina World Foundation. Thank you once again to the entire team at GatherVerse for this wonderful opportunity to share with you our Metaverse archival project. We're responding to an urgent global crisis, one that's unfolding almost unnoticed with irreversible consequences. The global loss of ancestral knowledge, the forced displacement of entire communities, and the disconnect between generations. Last year at FestPac in Hawaii, island nation delegates, government leaders, and tribal elders gathered to address three painful truths. First, their homelands are disappearing due to rising sea levels. Second, many don't know where their people will go, where they'll end up. And third, most urgent of all, they fear the total loss of their cultures, languages, and traditions. And this became our call to action. At Divina World Foundation, we asked, what happens when a culture disappears? UNESCO reports that one indigenous language disappears every 2 weeks. More than 40% of the world's 6,700 languages are endangered. With every language lost, we lose a worldview, a science, a story, a song. Yet amid this loss, we also see opportunity because Gen Z, 78% of them, are already living in virtual spaces. They learn, play, and connect through live streams, games, AR, VR, and AI-driven content. In order to preserve ancestral wisdoms, we must meet our young people there, where they are. That's why we're creating the Indigenous World Music Hall of Fame, the first multicultural and intergenerational heritage storytelling museum, archival library, and interactive experience built in the metaverse. In collaboration with our educational ally, Conectado.com, our immersive Hall of Fame becomes a bridge where wise women and other culture bearers will share music, oral histories, traditions, personal stories, and endangered languages in their own voices for future generations to learn from, preserve, and celebrate. We're not just preserving culture, we're future-proofing it. Our ethos is simple. By honoring our ancestors, we honor ourselves. And by celebrating our roots, we rediscover who we truly are. At Divina World Foundation, we believe that empathy, understanding, and compassion are cultivated through cultural storytelling, and that connection and community is the antidote to hate. So we're not just documenting identity, we're defending it. We're blending ancestral wisdom with modern tools to ensure no child grows up disconnected from their roots. We're using immersive tech as a safe haven for endangered identities. We're proving that ethical, community-led innovation can and will restore what's being pushed to the margins. This is our response to a disappearing world, and we're not alone. Our team includes artists, technologists, educators, donors, sponsors, and advocates. And together we're building a global movement powered by storytelling, equity, and the ethical use of AI to unite, not divide humanity. Because in a time of rising fear and fragmentation, we choose celebration over censorship. Culture is not just history, it's armor, it's identity, and it's resistance. And now I invite you to take a first look at how we're doing just that. Roll the video, please. Thank you, and please enjoy.
Technology is solving real problems, feeding communities, moving money, powering villages, and connecting people. From agri-tech to fintech, blockchain to mobile innovation, Africa is shaping solutions that fuel local progress and global collaboration. At GatherVerse Africa, Tech for Humanity, we celebrate this leadership and introduce a new way to make trust visible online, the meta layer.
I'm David Benjamin, working with the meta layer infrastructure SIG to help build out the civic layer of the internet. Together, let's explore what that means for Africa and the world.
Online trust signals, likes, badges, verification icons are easily gamed and fragmented. Generative AI blurs identity and intent. In fast-moving spaces like mobile payments, agriculture, and climate tech, we need a civic interface that travels with us across the web, making context and consent visible wherever we engage. The meta layer is a community-governed overlay that sits above any web page, not a new platform. An open, transparent layer where we bring applications, communities, and tags that operate across the entire web. Imagine going to a page, choosing to go visible and seeing everyone in your community who is there right now, and everyone in your community who was there recently enough to leave a trace. Imagine discussions about the content of the page flowing along the side, or polls and list items attached to sections of text, parts of photos, or segments of videos. Everything shifts dynamically depending on which communities you choose to become active in. It's attention triggered, so you're never overwhelmed by random notifications. The meta layer helps communities coordinate safely with rules and consent enforced where people actually interact above the page. Africa leads the world in mobile payments and fintech adoption. Agri-tech is improving yields and food security. Blockchain applications, renewable energy, and youth innovation hubs are scaling across the continent. The meta layer strengthens all of this by making trust portable so reputation, policy, and presence can follow people and projects across sites and platforms. This isn't theory. Through the meta layer infrastructure SIG, we're co-creating interface-level governance, tooling, overlays, and trust primitives that communities can adopt and adapt. The SIG is already led in part by 3 young African board members, underscoring Africa's central role in shaping this civic layer.
As the facilitator of the meta layer infrastructure SIG, I invite African technologists, founders, policymakers, researchers, and organizers to help shape the next layer of the internet together.
Thank you so much. I hope that you will all consider joining the meta layer infrastructure SIG. We need your input and participation.
Fellow innovators and change makers, hello and greetings from Nairobi. It is such a pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Esther Mwangi and I serve as the Director of Research and Innovation at Zitech University. My work sits at the intersection of research, innovation, and community impact. and I am deeply passionate about how technology can be harnessed for a greater good. Universities hold a unique position as innovation hubs because they bring together three critical strengths: talent, research capacity, and multidisciplinary collaboration. They are home to young, curious minds brimming with fresh ideas, supported by faculty and researchers who provide the rigor and guidance to turn those ideas into real solutions. At GTech University, we integrate these SDGs into our research, teaching, and community engagements. This means training students to think beyond academics, to design technologies that improve access to healthcare, promote quality education, enhance food security, and drive climate-smart solutions. By embedding sustainability and impact in our curricula and innovation ecosystem, we ensure that higher education is not just about producing graduates, but about producing problem solvers who are actively contributing to Agenda 2030 and 2064. At GTech University, we view sustainability as the intersection of innovation, responsibility, and long-term thinking. This means developing technologies and solutions that meet today's needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet theirs. Whether it is integrating renewable energy into campus operations, embedding green practices in our research projects, or empowering students to design climate-smart technologies for their communities, sustainability is woven into everything we do. Our goal is in cultivating graduates who not only excel in their fields, but also act as stewards of the planet and champions of equitable, inclusive development. As a tech university, our research agenda is anchored in community-driven innovation. This means that we do not start with a lab experiment, then look for a use case. We begin with the community most pressing challenges and design research around solving them. 2, innovation and incubation ecosystem. The IZ Hub at GTech University serves as our innovation incubator, providing students with a space to transform their ideas into viable solutions. Through hackathons, innovation challenges, and accelerator programs, we create opportunities for students to test concepts, build prototypes, and receive mentorship from industry experts. These platforms bridge the gap between theory and practice, allowing learners to apply classroom knowledge to real-world problems, develop entrepreneurial mindset, and prepare their innovations for scale and impact in the community. I believe that every learning institution should have such a vehicle to provide a platform for scaling innovation. We have challenges. Such challenges include limited funding, tech infrastructure gaps, IP protections, and commercialization hurdles. Every institution should work towards establishing a technology transfer office to be able to overcome some of these hurdles. I'm calling to my fellow educators to ensure that we embed real-world projects into curricula. We must also invest in and mentor students-led tech projects, and I'm inviting industry leaders to support us in this. And we must also create policies that make it easier for innovations to move from lab to market. I'm encouraging students to always see themselves as creators, not just consumers of technology. And as I close, let's remember, when we empower students with the right tools, mentorship, and vision, we do not just graduate job seekers. We graduate problem solvers, and those problem solvers become the heartbeat of the community transformation. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm wishing you a great conference.
about innovation, most people think of Silicon Valley or Shenzhen. But here's a fun fact. Across sub-Saharan Africa, more people have a mobile phone than a bank account. That single reality changed everything. Instead of waiting for banks to build branches, Africa went straight to mobile money. M-Pesa in Kaya became the model that the world studied. Suddenly, a phone wasn't just for calls. It became a bank, a classroom, and even a doctor's clinic. This is what I call the leapfrog effect. And Africa shows us when you don't have old systems slowing you down, you can leap ahead faster than anyone expects. I know this story because I lived something similar when I built People's Inc. 360. It was during the pandemic. Businesses were shutting down, founders had little budget, little time, but one big question. How do I keep my business alive when the world stops? We built automation systems that unified web, social, influencers, and media. So instead of working harder, businesses could work smarter. That moment showed me what Africa has been proving for years. Constraints breed creativity. Take agriculture. Farmers in Kenya and Ghana use SMS to check weather and crop prices. On the surface, it's just text messages. But behind that is automation, data collected, processed, and delivered in real time. Or take fintech. In Nigeria, platforms like Paystack and Flutterwave didn't wait for banks to modernize. They automated digital payments and created billion-dollar businesses that now fuel economies across the region. The technology is powerful, but the real magic is the systems that multiplies the impact. So my message today is automation is the bridge for survival to scale. In Africa, it plays out in three powerful ways. One, financial inclusion. When banks don't reach villages, AI and automation extend financial services through mobile money. Think about the millions who can now send, save, and invest with just a phone. Two, visibility across borders. African startups aren't just building their own towns, they're scaling to regional and global markets. Automation in marketing and media, the kind we built at People's Inc. 360, means founders can be discovered in Lagos, Nairobi, or even London. 3. Systems that run 24/7. Humans sleep, but automation doesn't. From chatbots that answer customer queries at midnight to supply chains that reroute automatically, these are tools that free up people to focus on creating, connecting, and leading. And here's the most important part. Automation isn't about replacing people. It's about making sure people do more of the work that matters. Building communities, solving problems, and leading change. If this resonates, I share these kind of stories and strategies in my Royal Confessions newsletter. It's where I connect the dots between AI, automation, wealth, and community, not just in Africa, but globally. You can join me at princessa.beehive.com. Because at the end of the day, whether you're a farmer in Kenya, a fintech founder in Lagos, or an entrepreneur anywhere else in the world, automation is about giving us back the most important human resource we all crave: time.
That's it. That's it. GatherVerse Africa Tech for Humanity Summit. We are so thankful to everyone who spent the precious time with us. Thank you for the social media engagement. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for even 1 minute of saying hi. Thank you to our very esteemed speakers who shared their expressions, their insights, and their stories. Thank you so much. Thank you to all who tuned in from Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, GatherVerse.live. Thank you so much. In Africa, where I come from, in Swahili, we say Asante. Our GatherVerse Africa Tech Summit was well. Watch out for Asia, Middle East, and the future coming events. Until then, be kind. Thank you. Bye.
He's on a drug. Oh, mothers, tell your children not to do what I have done. Spend your lives in sin and misery in the house of the rising sun. Well, there is a house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun, and it's been the ruin of many a poor boy. And God, I know